It can be really frustrating spending tons of time in the gym trying to build muscle, trying to look toned, and just not seeing any results. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you 5 reasons you might not actually be growing muscle even though you're putting in the time, and what you can do instead to make sure that you're really growing muscle with that time you're putting in. By the way, if you're new here, hi, I'm Emily. I've built over 20 pounds of muscle in the past 7 years working out with both weights and calisthenics, and in this video, I'm gonna tell you all of the mistakes, the big 5 mistakes that I've personally made before so that you don't need to make them. You can just skip them. So let me help you save some time. Let's get into the 5 reasons you might not be growing muscle. And number 1 is that you might not be eating enough protein. Yes, everyone says this. And what you might be thinking right now is, this doesn't apply to me. I eat super healthy. I'm good to go. Now, there are 2 different ways you can look at eating healthy. There's eating healthy from a holistic standpoint where you're eating lots of micronutrients. Maybe you're eating lots of greens and salads, and generally your meals are comprised of really healthy things, high fiber, lots of vitamins. But then there's the other side of eating healthy, which is functional healthy, which is looking at your meals from a macronutrient standpoint. That means you're thinking more about your meals in how many carbs, how many fats, how many proteins are in each of these meals, and looking at whether you're eating those meals at a good time in order to optimize for building muscle and supporting your health or fitness goals. Now, you might be eating holistically healthy where you're eating lots of greens and salads, but you might not be eating enough of the right macronutrients to support you in building muscle. And I did this. I would have my salads, I would have lots of high fiber meals, I ate lots of volume greens, and I thought that I was doing such a good job eating healthy to build muscle and to support me in my goals of looking lean and toned, and I just wasn't doing that. And that was until one day when I tracked all of my meals, I looked at what I ate for a week, and I realized I was eating like 50 grams of protein under what I actually should be to build muscle. And that was pretty eye-opening. I remember standing in my college dorm thinking, I should probably get a protein powder or something. So how much protein do you actually need to build muscle? Well, a great range to shoot for would be 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And if you feel like some of this might resonate with you and where you eat pretty healthy, but you're not exactly sure how much protein you eat, a great place to start would be grabbing a journal or even a calorie tracking app such as MyFitnessPal or Chronometer, whatever you feel comfortable with. And you want to track exactly what you eat for every meal for about 4 or 5 days. And if you journal, then go ahead and pop it into one of those tracking apps. And then you can look at exactly what macronutrients and micronutrients you're eating throughout the week, throughout the day. And this will tell you the average amount of protein that you're eating on a daily basis. We're not going to talk about any of the other things, which are also important, but we're just focusing on protein here right now because this is often a very missed step. Now, if you realize that you're like 40 or 50 grams under what your protein goal is, like I did, please don't go 0 to 100 like that. And please don't be hard on yourself. Please don't be overly critical. I've found that a really great way to slowly increase into eating enough protein is, instead of being hard on yourself, being curious about what you can do in order to increase your protein over time to get to that optimal protein number. So try asking yourself these questions. Which of my daily meals have little or no protein in them? What are a few ways that I could add protein to the meals that I already eat and I already enjoy that feels realistic? And what are the meals that I'm eating around my workout time? Do they tend to have higher protein? Do they have less protein? What are they made up of? And then it can be useful to pay attention to how you actually feel around your workout times. Could I add in a high protein snack at some point in the day? What feels realistic with my life schedule? And this is going to be really individual for every person, but I've found that instead of trying to flip everything and change everything all at once, just looking at what you're already doing, what feels realistic in your life, in what you've already got going on, and just trying to make little tweaks here and there in a way that feels realistic. Maybe that's adding in 1 extra palm-sized serving of protein into your lunch and your dinner meal, a source of protein that you already enjoy. Maybe this means adding in 1 high protein snack in the afternoon somewhere, maybe after your workout, or maybe after a class, or in that little break in between meetings. That might just mean pre-packing a few hard-boiled eggs or having that protein shake prepared just for when you're on the go. Okay, getting into the second reason that you might not be growing muscle. And that might be you're just not pushing yourself hard enough in the gym. And this might be you if you've been lifting the same weights for a long time. You've been doing the same exact exercises for a long time, like years. You never go below 8 repetitions when you're lifting weights. And especially if you never reach the point where you're failing. Like you're picking up a weight, you're doing your bicep dumbbell curl, and you literally you can't lift it anymore. And there are 2 main reasons I found why people don't push themselves to this level they need in order to properly build muscle. One is they're afraid to lift heavy weights. They're afraid to fail. And number two, they're not exactly sure what the point of muscular failure is. And we're gonna break both of those down now. So number one, if you've been lifting weights for a while, you're comfortable with the form, you might feel a burn when you're lifting your weights, but you never reach that point where you can't go any farther. You literally can't pick the weight up. Here, what you gotta do, you need to figure out what your 1 rep max is, or at least what point you might reach muscular failure. What I would recommend is dropping the number of reps that you do, increasing your weight up, trying to do 5 reps and grabbing a spot. Not in that order, of course. Grab the spot first and then increase the weight. Now, this is specifically for lifting weights. If you're doing calisthenics exercises, this could simply be a matter of go to a slightly harder progression or add in more repetitions. But for lifting weight perspective, maybe you're testing out your shoulder press. Get a spot who can help support you if you start to drop the weights. Make sure that you grab dumbbells that are heavier than your current working weight, the weight that you've been lifting for a while, and then try to do 5 reps. If you can do 5 reps, easy peasy, not even failing, you bump the weight up again. And you keep doing that until you find a point where you literally cannot push the dumbbells over your head. You're struggling, and then of course you have your spot there. But this is what muscular failure is. It's not that burn that you might get when your muscles feel like they're on fire and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm pushing myself, it feels so hard. It's you literally not being able to push the weight any further. And it can be kind of tricky to shift into this mindset, especially if you've been spending a long time in that 8 to 12 rep range and you haven't really push the weight a little bit higher. Here, I would say you can play around a little bit more, try to go a little bit heavier and maybe drop your rep range to like 6 to 8 reps. Of course, you don't want to be training to muscular failure every single set because that's going to be very exhausting and you're not going to recover super well. But trying to get within 1 to 3 reps of that failure for most of your exercises is going to be a really, really, really great place to start and a great way to make sure that you're actually building muscle. Because if you're spending time in the gym lifting the weights, you might as well actually benefit from it, right? I think so. Okay, the third reason that you might not be building muscle is you're not properly resting and recovering. Wait, I thought we were talking about growing muscle, not resting. Well, the crazy thing is you need to rest in order to build muscle. And this might seem a little bit counterintuitive, but it's actually only when we're chilling and resting that our muscles can rebuild. And having that optimal recovery and rest is also super important in order to make sure that we're able to train and push ourselves in our workouts. So that's what's gonna allow us to actually train towards muscular failure. And what can happen is if you're maybe doing 5 to 6 workouts a week or 5 to 7 workouts a week, and lots of them involve some cardio, you might feel like you're going hard in the workouts. You might feel really sweaty. You might feel tired after the workouts. You might feel like you had a good workout. But these might not actually be very productive workouts in building muscle because although you feel tired, your rate of perceived exertion, how hard you feel like you push yourself, that might be really high. You might feel tired. And these might be fatiguing to your overall central nervous system, but you might not actually have trained your muscles close to that muscular failure or that level of fatigue that you need to stimulate muscle growth. So these might be good cardio workouts. They might get your heart rate up. You might be feeling that burn in your muscles, but you might not be pushing yourself hard enough in order to build muscle. This can happen a lot if you take lots of workout classes, or if you're doing like 5 to 7 workouts a week, but you can't train super hard in any of them because you're too under-recovered. And this is a really common mistake. It can happen to the best of us. It's happened to me before. For example, this was how I trained when I was in grad school. I was under a lot of mental stress, a lot of emotional stress, moving to a new city, trying to manage tons of classes, definitely not sleeping enough, lots of stress. And on top of that, I was doing 5 to 7 workouts a week. Now, the reason I was doing these workouts is because after the workouts, I felt good. I had that workout high. I felt more ready for the day. I enjoyed my workouts and they were a way of coping with my stress. And I often skipped rest days too. But my body wasn't able to properly recover to build up muscle during this period of time. I was spending tons of time working out, so much time in the gym, but I wasn't actually benefiting a ton from the time I spent because I was under too much stress and my body wasn't properly recovering. It wasn't just the physical stress, but we also have to think about the environmental stress, the social stress, the emotional or mental stress that someone's going through on top of their physical stress. And all these different stressors in someone's life is going to impact how well they're able to recover and then train intensely. And for me, during that period of time, I had a lot of mental, environmental, social, emotional, and physical stress. So the 5 to 6 workouts was definitely too many. And even though these workouts felt really nice in the moment, in the long term, not only did this make me burn out, but it was just bad for my health and fitness goals. And it was only when I started adding in rest days, staying super strict on them, optimizing recovery, and learning ways to manage all my different areas of stress, was I able to start growing muscle, seeing progress in the gym, feeling stronger than I ever had before, and getting cool calisthenics, bodyweight skills that I really enjoyed. Now, if this resonates with you and you think this kind of might be your situation, what I would recommend doing is asking yourself these questions. Out of 100%, how would I rate my level of emotional stress, mental stress, physical stress, environmental stress, and social stress? And then once you rate all of those, go ahead, add them all up, and this is going to be your total stress on your body. Now, there might be certain areas of your life where you feel like you can handle more pressure, more stress, but then there might be others where you realize you might need to optimize for recovery. Now, go ahead and ask yourself, what are a few ways that I can improve my recovery? And this might not only be those areas that we think of physical recovery, like sleeping more and hydrating. They might be mental recovery, organization. So this might be practicing a little bit of mindfulness in between breaks throughout your day. This might be a time management issue. How can I schedule out my day in order to make things run more smoothly so I have less stress on my brain? Can you practice saying no to obligations that maybe you feel obligated to go to, but you know are actually gonna add stress and something you don't wanna do? That was a big one for me. That one helped me a ton once I actually started doing it. It's always easier said than done, but it does feel better when you start to actually implement these different ways of managing recovery and finding out how you can decrease stress in your whole life, and honestly, it will really reflect in your physical fitness as well. Now, as for rest days, one thing you can do is journal how your energy is on a normal workout week. How do you feel during your workouts? How is your recovery? How is your sleep? Do you feel bloated? How is your mood throughout the week? And then experiment with adding in one rest day. Try taking out one of your normal workouts and journal again. See how you feel. How does adding in that rest day affect your body? How's your energy? How is your focus during training? How hard are you able to push yourself during your training sessions? How's your sleep? How's your mood? How's your mental stress? All these different questions, and see how that rest day affects you. Now, if you do try out the rest day, I do recommend trying it out and journaling for more than 1 week. I know for myself, when I was shifting out of doing 7 workouts a week, lots of cardio, less weights, and shifting into adding in that rest day, it wasn't like a light switch where all of a sudden I added in a rest day and I just feel so much more energetic during the rest of my workouts. It's kind of like an ease in, because it takes time for the body to realize, oh, we have a bit more energy, I feel a bit more recovered, and it takes time for the body to slowly shift into having more energy during the fewer workouts that you do. But just get curious about how your body feels when you add in that rest day and when you change out recovery times. Okay, reason number 4 that you might not be actually growing muscle is kind of a trick, a little bit. You could be one of these two things. One is you're a new lifter and you've just started working out in the gym and you might be a little bit impatient. If you have all of these other things locked in, you're training really hard, you feel like you're rested, you're able to really push yourself during your workouts, and you're definitely eating enough protein, you might just be a little bit impatient. If you're looking at trying to see crazy muscle changes within 1 month, even within 3 months, you just gotta give yourself a little bit more time. So if you're in this group, just stick to the plan, keep going, give yourself time, and just make sure that all your workouts are fitting well in your routine, so that's something you can do for a long time. Because realistically, if you're trying to grow muscle and you're trying to change your life, which is amazing, I love this for you, do these workouts fit into your routine in a way that you want to see crazy short-term changes? Or is this something that you feel like is manageable, you enjoy, and generally you see yourself doing a long time? Because if you fit into the second one of those groups, that's amazing. But if you're looking for any short-term changes, then there's a better way to get across growing muscle and changing your body composition, maybe losing some fat or working towards your health fitness goals. There's always a better way than crazy fast short-term changes. Or if you're not a new lifter, maybe you're super advanced. If you're an advanced athlete or lifter and you've been doing the same workout program, the same exercises for years, for a long time, and you don't feel like you're growing any more muscle, you feel like you've plateaued, then in this case, it's a little bit different. This is most likely a programming issue. For example, if you've been training in the gym for years and you're stuck at 3 sets of 12, then the simple answer is you want to play around with lifting heavier, really trying to challenge your muscles. You might need to push your weights up higher and do fewer repetitions until your muscles get used to it. And then you can increase the number of reps that you do over time. Or maybe you need to increase the number of reps that you're doing and drop the weight. Sometimes that's the case too. But if you're an advanced lifter, there can be so many different areas. I would recommend chatting with a personal trainer or a coach and just see if someone else can give you a little bit more clarity, because sometimes we're so close to the problem and we think it's this one thing, but then you talk with someone else who's able to have the perspective of looking at everything else in your life. Maybe how's your recovery? How is your nutrition? Maybe you need to increase your calories, change your calories around, and that other person can kind of give a little bit more perspective that is hard to see if you're so close to the problem. So I would recommend potentially chatting with a personal trainer about it. And we've made it to the 5th reason you might not be growing muscle. Now, this one might not be what you're expecting, but the short answer is, how do you know you're not growing muscle? Like actually, because you might be growing muscle and you might not just be noticing it. Now, what I mean by that is if you're growing muscle, but you've maintained the same level of fat, your muscles should become more visible. They should show. Alternatively, if you're growing muscle, but you're also gaining fat, you might not necessarily be able to see the muscle. You might not have that defined look. So in each case, we're still growing muscle, but in one of the situations where your fat level stays the same, you can see the muscle more visibly, but in the other situation, your muscle's growing, but your fat's also growing, so you can't see the muscle better. The muscle's growing in both cases, but maybe your goals were to have more defined muscles, in which case you would want to stay at the same body fat percentage, which means you might need to lose a little bit of body fat if that is your goal. So Emily, how do I know that I'm actually growing muscle in general? Well, here are a few ways that you can actually track that you're making progress in the gym growing muscle. Now, I'll start with my favorite one. This is going to be if your strength is increasing in the gym. If you can continue to push heavier weight in the gym, do more repetitions if you're doing calisthenics exercises, that's a great sign that you're growing muscle, you're getting stronger. That one's my absolute favorite, top of the top. Now, the second way that you can track how your muscle's changing is gonna be actually measuring them. So this is not my favorite method. We'll get to another method that I actually like in the next one. Not my favorite, but you can literally get a tape measure, wrap it around your bicep, take the measurement over time. You might not see crazy changes, especially within like 1 to 3 months. Let's be real. Let's be really real. You might see strength improvements, but this waist measurement is a little bit more of a long-term muscle growth strategy, but it is one you have as an option. Number 3 is gonna be physique changes, progress photos. So this is gonna be you taking a photo to track your physique changes, like a front photo, a side photo, and a back photo. And over time, this can show you changes in your physique. Now, this will not tell you how much muscle and fat you've lost. It might give you a little bit more of an idea of the ratio. It might show that you definitely gained some muscle, but it's not gonna show you any tiny little changes. Option number 4, of course, is going to be getting a DEXA scan using bioelectrical impedance scale, which is not the most accurate, so not always my most favorite, but you do have those options. DEXA scans are more expensive and you wouldn't do them as frequently. The bioelectrical impedance scale is less accurate, but is much more cost effective and is more practical on a daily basis. Now, I don't love bioelectrical impedance, because although it is a bit more practical, and for example, maybe you have a bathroom scale that tells you how much fat and how much muscle you have, these aren't the most accurate. They can also be really affected by if you've had a meal, if you've had caffeine, if you haven't had a meal, if you haven't drank a ton of water. These things can affect the results that you see. That being said, if you're using the same scale, generally any changes in that scale are going to be more accurate than if you use a bunch of different bioelectrical impedance scales. So just keep that in mind. So you might be like, Emily, I don't know if I've been growing muscle. Let me ask you, has your strength been increasing in the gym? Can you do more repetitions of exercises you've been training, or can you do heavier weight with them? Has your physique changed at all? Of course, you have the tape option where you can take your measurements around different areas, around your leg, around your waist, have these areas changed at all. Asking yourself these questions and also looking at changes in muscle from more of a long-term zoomed out perspective. We're not gonna grow like 5 pounds of muscle in like a month. Like it's a multi-year process. And I think that can be a little bit of a useful reminder. I guess I'm just trying to say, just make sure that you're looking at growing muscle from a little bit of a long-term perspective. I hope that you found this video helpful. I hope that this resonated with you in some way. If it did, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I will see you in the next video.